Hello, riders! Warm welcome to Horse Talk, where you are going to get 3 steps to a soft and responsive horse that is quick and actually works, and that I wish I knew many years ago. So let me know in the comments if you want a softer and more responsive horse. Because step number one to get there is to actually start on the ground and not necessarily continue riding. And this is something I have discovered time and time again. No matter if it's a horse that has been ridden before or if it's a rescue that is doomed to be put down because of behavioral issues. I always start on the ground by building a connection with the horse that I then can bring with me into the riding. But the groundwork isn't necessarily lunging the horse with side reins or doing stuff with the horse. It's much more about communicating with the horse through body language and definitely solving anything the horse might have as an issue. Because when we do this at liberty, the horse is going to be able to express themselves and show, how they truly feel about stuff. Some horses might like forward and motivation, while others might be rushing. And by starting on the ground, we can actually solve this on the ground and fix it before we move forwards into the riding. If that makes sense, let me know in the comments below. Yes, and the way I do this is by using my body language when I do this groundwork with the horse. And that makes it lots of fun, and it also, creates a language between me and the horse. And it's not very complicated. It's actually very easy. Anyone can do this, even in a wheelchair. You can use your body language when communicating with the horse. Because what they mainly respond to is if we are stepping forwards or if we are stepping backwards. And once we are aware of this and what this means, we can use this to solve any problems on the ground before we move any further with the horse. Yes, hope this makes sense. And the second tip is to check in on the riding signals, which is crucial. And way too many riders are riding around with semi good riding signals. And what then happens is that if our rein aid doesn't make the horse soft and slow down, and our leg aid doesn't engage the hind legs of the horse, it's going to be very difficult to get results with that horse. And by simply doing regular riding, we are not necessarily fixing the riding signals, if you know what I mean. So, in most riding lessons and riding schools, and that's also how I learned it when I was studying to become a trainer at Hular, or when I went to the Norwegian Equestrian Center to be a riding instructor. It was a whole lot of holds and half holds and sideways and lots of stuff going on. But we never really checked in on the riding signals separately, like just the rein aid, the one rein aid, like just the left rein aid, and get softness in the horse off of that rein aid, or just the right rein aid, or just the left leg aid and just the right leg aid. And once we work on these riding signals separately, it becomes much, much better to tune them up and make sure the horse really understands them. And we can also tap into feel. So this is very much about, not pulling on the horse, but just picking up the rein and wait for a response. And if the response doesn't happen, because many horses, they have start to like ignore the light signals because we tend to be a bit too loud when when using the rein aids, right? So they start kind of ignoring it. So instead of just waiting until the horse responds, we can then Actually, through the body language we have taught the horse on the ground, we can make their body soft and then release on the rein aid. And definitely do the same with the leg aid, like make sure it actually works on the hind leg. And obviously, if the horse lags forwards and is dull to the rein aid, to the leg aid, we will notice that we have a leg aid problem. But if the horse is forward and is rushing, we might not notice it, but very often these rushy horses, they also have a forward problem with the leg aid because they are rushing with the front part and not necessarily engaging the hind to towards the leg aid. So it doesn't really matter if the horse is forward or not, they still need to learn the leg aid properly. And once we have installed like the left rein aid and the right rein aid and the left leg aid and the right leg aid properly, then we can start combining them and do half holds and stuff. But before that, if the horse is slightly stiff towards the rein aid or slightly dull or actually not engaging the hind as a response to our leg aid, it's going to be very, very hard to use those riding signals to get the horse moving beautifully and freely underneath us and create that partnership. Yes, and I see this going on a lot, and it's frustrating both for the horse and for the rider because it makes riding much more complicated than it needs to be. So let me know in the comments below if you have worked on the riding signals separately. Yes, because if you haven't, then I strongly recommend you do that and then combine them, and you are going to notice a huge difference. And this is also something we can do like very quickly before we ride or when we start riding a horse. Just check in on the left rein, the right rein, the left leg aid, the right rein leg aid. And if something isn't working properly, then obviously fix it before riding any further. Because if we don't fix it, the horse is naturally going to become either more and more rushy or either more and more dull. So this is something we kind of need to polish, and it doesn't take more than, a couple of minutes, but it makes a huge difference. And the last tip, which maybe is the most important one, is to take the time to make our ID the horse's ID. Because horses, they can have many different IDs when we are riding them. And my best example of doing this is when we um, teach a horse not to graze when ridden and led. So if you have done the grazing exercise, you have actually made your ID of not grazing when ridden and led the horse's ID. And we don't do that by preventing them from doing the wrong thing. We actually do that by asking them to do something else. Yes, because if we prevent the horse from something, we are not going to change their ID. And they are very much associative learners. They learn from association. So once the horse starts associating something with something, we are not going to get rid of that ID by simply telling them to not do something. Yeah. So this might be complicated, but it's it's actually very easy because this is also what makes the horses straight in a way. Like if a horse is ridden and is only thinking about the grass, that horse is going to have the mind on the grass and maybe be a little bit on the front part, and maybe also be pulled towards areas where there is grass. And then we need to use our riding signals to prevent the grazing and prevent the horse from going to the grass, which will dull our riding signals. But once we have made our ID of not grazing the horse's ID, they stop thinking about the grass, which makes them straight and also more responsive to our signals, actually. Yes, so if this makes sense, let me know in the comments below. And if you have done the grazing exercise, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But we can do this with anything. We can do this with the saddling. We can do this with horses who want to rush home towards the stable. We can do this with horses who don't want to go into a scary place or scare towards a scary object, or we can do this with a horse who, wants to be by the gate and not in the other parts of the arena. But we don't do this by telling horses not to do something. We do it by, yeah, making their ID less favorable. They need to kind of experience it for the ID to go away. So they need to experience that the barn, rushing to the barn isn't the solution to getting the saddle off and meeting their friends. So we kind of change their expectations a bit. And it solves very many problems, because many, especially behavior problems with horses, comes from what they have learned through association. And if we don't break that association, we are not going to be able to make that horse self-controlling and safe to ride. Then maybe we are able to make a horse that previously was dangerous suitable for very advanced riders that know how to manage the situation all the time, but we don't make the horse self-controlling and straight from self. And it's also actually what makes liberty riding very, very easy. Yes, so that's how I'm able to ride liberty on my horses. It's not because I'm very clever at teaching them to respond to tiny little signals with my seat or leg aid or neck rope. It's basically because I made my ID the horse's ID, and that makes the horse self-controlling. And then, horses are kind from nature and beautiful creatures who only want to do well. So then they cruise around from self. They don't have any reason to act up in a way. And if you want to get started with this journey with your horse, even if your horse is bolting or forwards, or even if you already have a good riding horse that you want to make even better, then I definitely recommend to get started with these 3 steps. And the best way to get started is, as I said, on the ground. And we actually have a free training that you now can join, which starts this communication through body language with your horse in a way that makes horses follow you at liberty, and in a way that actually you become the treat. Yes, so if you want to get started with these steps, then I definitely recommend the connection exercise, which you now can get free access to if you comment connection below, and then you will get the link to the free training on DM. So comment connection and you will get the free training and get started with these 3 steps. And I know that you are going to experience a huge difference just from doing the connection exercise that you then can bring with you up into the riding and the riding signals and etc. And you will be amazed how fast horses can actually change once we just do this small but mighty adjustment. Yes. So comment connection in the chat and I will send you the link to the free training. And thank you so very much for joining, and bye for now.